Good morning and good evening, and welcome to the interviews with the crowns across the known world between myself and Countess Beatrix. I am Countess Lilya.
I'm Countess Beatrix.
This was a suggestion from Master Magnus, who is also known as Baron Blaine Monkey, to reach out to the crowns across the known world to get to know them a bit better and to informally chat.
Firstly, we would like to acknowledge the lands of the kingdoms on which we reach out to today. Good nobles, we come here together in the spirit of fellowship, deepening of our skills, sharing of knowledge, and a shared interest in the search to find truth through our experimental archaeology and historical inquiry. It is in this context that I, Countess Beatrice Maria Malatesta, on behalf of my kingdom, acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands upon which we gather. We recognize their continuing connection to the land and culture, and we pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and the elders from other communities who may be here today.
Greetings, Your Majesty, and welcome to Lockhart.
Greetings, good morning.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Not a problem. Thank you for actually giving us of your time and giving us the opportunity to have a chat. Like I said, it's very informal, and there's a couple of questions that we ask all of the royalty, just so that people get an understanding of your kingdom, because we are down the other end of the world. So it's an opportunity to encourage our populace to travel to your kingdom, and hopefully your populace to travel to ours. So the first question off the bat is, how did your kingdom get its name and device?
Do you want me to answer that, Ciaran?
Sure.
So Northshield was named a long time ago, back in the 70s, when it was part of the Mid-Realm. Northshield comes from the Canadian Shield, which is a geological region of the upper Canada, upper Midwest, and up through the Hudson Bay. And it's funny because they did a survey in the newsletter way back when to kind of get a feel for what people wanted to call this region, and Northshield was the name they picked. So that was very interesting. I did some research on our name, so that was really cool.
And mundanely, where are you situated?
Mundanely, we are North and South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan, Manitoba, and part of Ontario. So we have a lot of territory.
Yeah.
Are you guys familiar with the states, like where they're at and such? Like, I don't know if all Americans, yeah, right.
Not really, no.
All right, so the Great Lakes, you've probably seen those on the map, right?
Yeah.
So the ones on the west side, that's kind of our area, and then some land further to the west of that.
Okay.
We're straight up from Anstiora.
Yeah.
Aha.
Oh, okay. Right. But taking a very large area, because you cross two countries.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No,
Yep,
it's like 13, 14 hours from one end to the other. But I was looking, you guys are the entire country of Australia. How far is it for you guys to like go to events?
Well, we actually take in two countries as well. So
Australia
New
Zealand,
and New Zealand.
Right.
And Australia itself is about the same size as the US.
Right.
And then New Zealand is a 3-hour flight, depending on where you go from the East Coast. Yeah.
So like if it's like for you to go to an event, like there's just some that are just you have to fly to everywhere, or like is it just everybody's really local? Or
No, to fly from, because we do have baronies in majority of our capital cities across both countries, and some of the capital cities have 2 baronies in there as well. So I live in the nation's capital in Canberra, which is Politicopolis. Lilya lives in the north in Brisbane, which is one of the baronies is St Florian's. But for us to go to the other side, it's either a 3-day drive or a 5-hour flight.
Yeah. We were talking about that a little bit yesterday, about like, you must have to fly everywhere.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
a cheap thing to be crowned over here. Let's put it that way.
No, nor here. We have to drive everywhere. Last year I went to Coronation. It was like a 12-hour drive to Michigan. So,
Wow.
Way to build up the anticipation.
you get
So
to know people really well when you drive together.
Yeah, very well.
Yes. Yeah, we do. There is a lot of driving that happens, especially if it's to large events, or people will carpool from one barony to another.
So what is Northshield known for across the known world?
Well, you'd have to ask other kingdoms what they know us for, but like we like to think that we're pretty, irreverent. Like we like to have fun. We also do pretty good on the rapier field at Gulf Wars. And what else? Yeah.
We do tend to take, somebody will have some wacky idea and it does tend to kind of explode. I don't know if you're familiar. One year they built a Da Vinci tank and took it to Gulf Wars. It was actually part of the battle. It was a siege weapon. So done that. One time one of our queens mentioned she wanted to blow up a cow. So they built a paper mache one and blew it up.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, there's video on YouTube. I can send you the link. It's pretty awesome. That's kind of typical Northshield.
They will tell you it's off-site.
Yeah, it was off-site. It was across the fence, but I didn't know about it, and it exploded. And I'm like, "What the heck?" Ah! I was holding my son's baby at the time, and it almost flew out of my arms.
As long as there wasn't anything inside it, it should be pretty safe.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it was. I think it was empty.
Yeah.
So many kingdoms have many traditions. What are some of the traditions that your kingdom has that brings you joy?
Do you want me to go?
Go ahead.
So I watched some of your videos, and we also in Northshield do at Crown Tournament have all the ladies of the Rose gather around the finalists, and we also bring everybody who was a consort that day of the tournament also joins all the ladies of the Rose.
Okay.
And then all the knights, they surround this field and watch the tournament, make sure everything's above board. One of our other traditions that is really cool is we have what we call the princess sleeve, and it started out as a tournament to determine a rapier champion for the princess. But Gwyneth Felton, who was our first territorial princess, she forgot a token, so she gave the sleeve off her dress, her late Renaissance dress, and so that sleeve is still being passed down to this day to the sleeve winner. And yeah, it's a fun tournament, and it's really a high prestige tournament. Our rapier fighters really enjoy it. I can't remember how many people fought in my princess sleeve that was held in February, but I had a ton. It was great. It was a really fun day.
That sounds amazing.
That's such a tradition. Like, there's weight behind that sleeve.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely, passes down from princess to their fighter, and it's really cool.
Wow.
I don't know if this is really a tradition, but when we first started as a kingdom, we were kind of getting in a gift war with the Outlands, and they won up this big time by having this huge giant stone with a grip, our symbol on there. It's a griffin.
On it, yeah.
Oh, ginormous. Like you have to use a forklift to lift this thing. And so when we had our first crown, or actually coronation, they took that to the coronation and they placed all the knights' chains on there and all the crowns on there. And that's where our kingdom got started, was on that rock, and we'd still have that rock.
Wow.
So does that get transported from one set of crowns to the next every
No, it would be cool if it would, but it's just so big that it's been used a few times, but not every time.
They took it to 50 year, which was 5 years ago, and that was the last time it got moved. but it's
Wow.
like, it weighs like over 1,000 pounds, and it has a special trailer that lives on. It's big.
That's understandable. What would your major event be if we were going to travel to Northshield for the heavy fighters, for the rapier fighters, for the arts and scientists, and for socializing, which is my forte? So.
Well, our biggest event is called Warriors and Warlords, but we just call it Dub Dub. And sometimes it gets really rainy, so it's a Drub Drub, and whatever, you know, it's our biggest event, so there's going to be all those things there, and they're all great. But I mean, it just kind of diffuses throughout the kingdom. There's a lot of great events, so you can't go wrong going to a Northshield event. You're going to get a lot of hospitality, you're going to get a lot of socializing, you're going to get a lot of fighting, and you know, it depends on, you know, some events are strictly, you know, one thing, but if whatever that thing is, you're gonna really enjoy it, because we try to do our very best and have a lot of fun and enjoy it.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, our 12th night is really good for socializing. People give out 12th night gifts, and, you know, hang out, and everybody has like tables of food that they share. It's really awesome.
That's interesting. 12th night for us is a very different, or has been a very different event, because it's our one of our coronation events. Yeah. And it's
Nice.
also in the middle of summer.
Right.
So
But you still give out gifts, right? Like for Christmas and stuff, right?
No,
Christmas.
we have Yule for that. We
Yeah,
do that
Yule.
for you. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have the Yule events pre-Christmas, and then 12th night, which is the coronation, but which we're actually coming up to a changeover of scheduling. So at the next 12th night, if it runs, fingers crossed, will be the last 12th night that will be run in Lockhart as a kingdom event.
Maybe we can encourage gift giving. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anything big. Small gifts are great.
So, is this your first reign as king and queen, or have you reigned before within Northshield or other kingdoms?
You want to go first?
I have reigned before. I reigned about 12 years ago with a different person. And I had kind of thought maybe I would never reign again, but you know, life is funny that way. So, but yeah.
No, this is my first. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you right.
This is my first, and when I was like thinking of consorts, I was like, there's none better. Like, this is the person, I can't think of anybody better to do it. She's been Kingdom Seneschal, she's reigned before, she's a Pelican, she knows people and everyone loves her, and so it was a no-brainer, and I was just like, please say yes, please. I didn't say that to her, but I was thinking that inside.
So you're not a couple?
Nope, good friends. Met way back in the day before she was.
We don't even live in the same state.
Yeah.
Wow. How does that impact? I know it's a bit of a different reign at the moment, but how has that impacted on your communication and all of that?
Well, we meet once a week, and then we always try to, keep in touch throughout the week too. If anything comes up or whatever. And we've established that, we want to, everything's equal, and we're no decisions, unless it's, tiny little something, whatever, is not going to be made without the other person being consulted. And so I've never reigned before, but it's the best reign I've ever had. So I will say that.
Way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so, it's going great.
Nice. We have a staff meeting with our staff once a week, and we talk over issues, and then we do tend to talk outside of that if we have stuff that we need to talk about. But Thank God for the internet, because I think it would be impossible. Well, my phone bill would be sky high, but yeah, thankfully we have Zoom and we use Microsoft Teams. We use all the products, and yeah, that's the best way. And I don't think we've had any problems really.
I mean, before everything got shut down, and we were Prince and Princess, like she was able to go to a Run Rapier event in South Dakota, and I was able to go to one in Wisconsin. Just divvy up that labor a little bit was going to help out a lot, because it is such a big kingdom, being able to go to different things. So that was going to be nice, but we were going to end up doing most of the same events anyways when we were our original plan before everything got shut down.
Everything good.
How many events would you go to per reign on average?
That's a good question that I don't.
As many as possible.
Anywhere from like 2 to summer is probably a little more compressed because the summer rain is slightly shorter than our winter rains. So I think our calendar was going to be about like 3 events per month. So I think, with the airship and being crowned, you get to about 30 events, throughout your reign. So it's a lot.
As Prince and Princess, do you have to do some of the admin of the kingdom as well? Because our Prince and Princess are kind of, it's the introductory slide into being king and queen,
Ours is very much the same. We sit on our Stellari Council, which is our great officers, and we get a vote on that. But as for administration, big decisions, you just kind of like, you're there to observe and take in all the knowledge and, kind of make plans about how you want to run things when it's your turn. So you have less responsibility than, the crown does, which is nice. You can just kind of run around and, have a good time and get all the benefits and perks and less responsibility.
Yep.
Yeah, we got to do a Regency Court, and we were going to do another one before everything shut down. So that's really nice for like easing into it. I know some kingdoms are much shorter. I know I lived in Owens for a while, and theirs is like 2 months. So you better pick it up fast. So
yeah, that's ours. So generally it's 8 to 10 weeks from the crown tourney to the coronation, and it's if you're not expecting to win, it's definitely a freak out time. So both Lilya and I went through that.
They'll do a lot of planning maybe before crown to kind of make sure that you have everything kind of organized should you win. And so if you win, then you can hit the ground running and not have to feel like, everything's like thrown at you and feel like, but maybe that happened.
Yeah, I remember after winning crown, we went to, a couple of peerage meetings, and I'm like, holy cow, this is like a foreign language.
Were you a peer when you won?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
So first experience.
Yeah, I mean, and part of that is just, I was, way out in South Dakota, and there's just, you don't get a lot of exposure out there, and in my time out. So yeah, but yeah, it was my first exposure, especially, what was it, the Pelican meeting, and I'm like, I don't know what this is about. Luckily, Elis was there to save me.
Yeah, they're very strange birds, us pelicans.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because we met with the knights right after the tournament, and then we had a pelican meeting, and we met with Stellari all on the same day before evening court. It was overloaded for me, and I've been to all those meetings, so
yeah.
And I didn't have to fight or anything.
Yeah. So I mean, they're talking about finances and this and that. And I'm like, it's like coming into the middle of a conversation. You're like, you have no point of reference. And eventually, I like the slow time to get things bigger. Like, so, after a couple of Stellari meetings, I'm like, all right, I know where we're at. This is what we're doing.
So were you made king, and were you unbelted at the time? Like, were you a squire, or were you a...
No, I'm not a squire, but I was unbelted, yeah. So came out of
So it's
nowhere.
something
I
that we
mean,
can look forward to then in the future is maybe watching Uniting online. That would be cool. Just putting it out there.
yeah, no pressure.
So did you have a theme that you wanted to hold your reign in? Because I noticed that you entered Callantir's lands 2 weeks ago, Your Majesty. Oh.
We didn't have any set theme to begin with. We did. I don't. I was thinking about it this morning. It's like we came up with a rain logo for ourselves. Yeah, you can show it off. But we didn't really have any specific, storyline per se. We were just going to have a good time and bring some levity to, the kingdom. And then the pandemic hit. And so that kind of, I don't know, any plans we had kind of went out the window. We have had some storylines with our courts. I don't know if you watched it. One storyline was made up by our Polaris Herald, who was our chief herald. She wanted to make one of our Keithong Herald, a herald extraordinaire. So there was this kind of ongoing story that was subterfuge to get us to the dub to make her so. And so we had she wrote these long sagas, and then a friend of mine who was an artist, she drove pictures because I had wanted to create a photo album of our reign, but since we're not going anywhere and this is the only kind of pictures we get, she drew some pictures for us. So I intend to make like I don't know if I'll do a coloring book, but a book with the stories and the pictures that Hannah drew and have them available. We haven't figured all that out yet, but those are the kind of stories we're going for. And then one of our friends wanted to be our court jester. So we're like, sure. So she's doing that. And we're kind of in the middle of that storyline. Right now, Thora is kind of running amok. So we're just kind of making this up as we go along, just kind of doing ourselves and the kingdom at the same time.
Yeah, people are like, "Do you want to do this thing?" I'm like, "Yes." Anything that's fun, anything that's exciting, anything that's going to bring joy, let's do it. So yeah, we're just having fun with it.
So you send people postcards, I believe, as well.
Yes, we are doing that. I sent a bunch out today. I had designed a postcard, and then one of our baronesses, our Baroness Joyce of Yarvetler, had a friend of hers design a postcard as well. And so I've been sending a lot of mail, trying to keep the post office alive. So yeah, it's nice. And we've been getting mail, and it's awesome. I really enjoy getting letters and cards from our citizens. It's really great. And sometimes I have a bad day, and it really lifts my spirits, because you don't get that personal interaction that you would get when you go to events. But that card in the mail, I work from home. I'm working from home during the pandemic. And so I always see the postman coming, and then as soon as he runs away, I run out and get the mail.
It's such an enthusiastic and enjoyable online presence that you both have at the moment. So it's like when I did a bit of research, I was like, this is very cool. Very, very cool.
Well, that's really appreciated. Thank you very much. You know when you're sitting behind the computer and you're doing your thing, you're not really sure how things are going. So people have said, other people have complimented as well, but yeah, it's nice to hear. Thank you.
So what is your origin story? How did you meet in the SCA or start in the SCA?
I saw that His Majesty Alcaro had his kid in there, and I was like, I can't do that. And then I am doing it. Just kidding, Your Majesty. I think it was awesome. Very cute.
Your kids are a little older. I have a little more control, maybe.
Yeah. Anyway, what origin story? How we met?
And how you started in the SCA.
So you want? Okay.
You go.
The starting part. All right. So, I had a friend. I still have a friend who told me about it, and he was like, he had the whole spiel, like a whole thing that he was going to, like, all the things he was going to like hit to get me to join. And as soon as he told me that this happened, that this is a thing, that people could actually, fight, and that was like real. Like I wanted that my whole life. I was like, stop, I'm in. Like it's such a passion for me, such a joy. Like I was chatting with a friend of mine recently, and we're talking about fighting, and I said it's like medicine for me. Like it heals my body, my soul, my mind, just to be able to be part of this, and all the great people. So anyway, he told me that, and we're way in the far reaches of South Dakota. There's not a lot of people there. When we started, me, and another guy started, and it was just the three of us, and so we were just teaching each other how to play. There was a guy that was there before who kind of like introduced us, and then he moved to Arizona. His name's Ivan. I don't know if you're watching, Ivan. Shout out. He's Duke of Aidenbelt, so good job. But yeah, it was such an amazing thing, and you just go out there and we help each other out and taught each other, and then eventually I moved to where Her Majesty lived, and at the time it was so awesome because SCA is like a plug and play social group that friends and stuff. So I went in there and open arms, everybody welcomed me, and was just like, here, come to this thing, come join us. We're going to go eat over here, come over this thing. And, it was just like awesome. I knew Count Hagen, shout out to him, at the time, but I didn't know anybody else. And they all just, they're still friends today. So it's just amazing how the SCA works.
I started the SCA when I was 23, 24. I had graduated from college and I had heard about it kind of vaguely, but I didn't do anything about it because I was a poor college student. And then I got a job, a full-time job in the town that I live in. And there was a group here, which was lucky. And I didn't really have any friends. And one of my coworkers, her daughter did SCA. And so I they had a demo at the county fair, and I met everybody, and I've been a part of the same group ever since. And that's been about 24 years ago. So, and it's kind of, I've been a part of the SCA. I've kind of ebbed and flowed with my involvement. Before I was queen, the first time I was kind of bored with things, and then I became queen, and it opened up a brand new door to worlds I hadn't even known about. So that was exciting. And then after I was done with that, everybody's like, you need to do all these other things. And so I did. And now I'm here.
So I have to ask, what was your reaction when you won?
This time?
This time.
I think there's probably video of me dancing around, standing next to our queen. So it was me, the queen, and the other consort who was in the finals. And then everybody's around us. And in the semifinals, the last one before the finals, I was just kind of sitting in my chair waiting to see if we're going to be in the finals or not. And when he won that one, and then we're going to be in the finals, they usually have like a 10, 15-minute break to kind of reset and get everybody lined up for the finals. And so as soon as that was done and he won, I ran off to the bathroom because I know how this goes. And I'm like, everybody's just kind of parted. I ran off to the bathroom to kind of collect myself. And then came back, and then we were standing up front watching them fight. And the fight, I don't know how long the fight lasted. I'll have to look at the videos, but it seemed like forever. And Seto and Yanez, who were king and queen of the Midrealm at that time, had come to visit us in Northshield. And Seto was standing off to my right over the queen's shoulder. And I would look at him and he'd give me a smile and I'd be like, and then I'd turn around and this Countess Shava was standing behind me, and I'd grab her hand and she'd squeeze my hand. And I just was just antsy as all can be. And then when he won, I was just so relieved. I was like, oh, thank goodness it's over. I was excited, but I was just like so relieved the tournament was over. It was really tense.
What was your reaction?
It was more matter of fact. It wasn't as exciting as that. But one thing is like I had, I envisioned this in my head, like how this is going to go. And so I told Her Majesty, so at the beginning, I'm going to come over and, kneel to you. And then during the regular fights, I'm going to pay honors. And then when the last fight comes over, I'm going to come over and talk to you. And then I'm going to talk to the other consort. Like I had this all figured out because I'd watched tons of, crown videos, including your guys's, and like just seeing how to do it. Right. So I was like, oh, I got this down. Right. And then when it's over, I just like walked out the field like it was a regular fight. And I didn't even go see her. And then someone had to tell me, like, you need to go see her. So I'm like, oh, shoot. It's just like, I don't know what, your brain just goes into like automatic mode. And so I apologize before and I'll apologize now. I'm sorry. I should have went right over that.
It was kind of funny because it was like, turn around, people were hugging me, and then I turned around, like, where's Ciaran? And he was like, gone. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Taking his kid off.
Yeah.
Yeah, he walked back to where his stuff was, and like, oh, well, there he is. And I'm like, okay. Because normally they, get up front, and then I don't know, the royalty leads us off to wherever we need to go, but that was kind of confused, and it kind of happened, but was a little bit discombobulated than normal.
So, is it true that you don't step down until January? Yeah.
Well, hopefully.
Do you have heirs?
We do not. Sadly not. We were going to have Crown in May, and of course that got canceled. And then we were going to have Crown try again. We're going to try it this summer. I don't remember.
No, well, we had 2 alternates, but they got quickly swept aside.
Right, and then we were going to have Crown again in October, and then the announcement from the bot came out, and so everything's been put off. So we don't really have a plan at this point. Hopefully, in 2021 we can have Crown and get heirs, and then make arrangements to be done. But we've kind of decided that we'll stick around until we have heirs,
yep.
At least for now.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. It's kind of a wait and see kind of thing. That's kind of been the name of the game.
Yep.
Yeah, at the end of our newsletter, I was like, because we're kind of doing a Gaelic reign, and I was like, I need to have a look at a little motto. And so I was just like looking up stuff, and there was like this never surrender in Gaelic, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then Her Majesty's like, never give up, never surrender. How's that sound? And,
Well, that's Galaxy Quest, totally.
Galaxy, right, exactly. I was like, all right, totally in Gaelic, right? But now it's kind of been our thing. Like, so if you see our chords, that's the Gaelic that you'll see in the middle.
So you're doing a Gaelic reign. That was the theater that was supposed to be involved?
Yeah, we're both
to
a point. We're both kind of technically Irish personas, but neither one of us are very, stuck to that. We play around, and I like the clothes of all sorts. So mostly early period, but I'm not beholden to any, specific date or time. I usually like, oh, I like that. Can I have that?
That's pretty.
And are you using alternative titles?
Yes.
The King and Queen?
Yeah. The Ri and the Ban Rian. That's Gaelic.
Yeah.
I know Lilya was really excited to hear that because they were the titles that her and her consort used.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So my consort was early Scots. So using Gaelic was very important to him. And I actually was born in Scotland and grew up in Ireland before immigrating to Australia.
How cool is that?
So I'm a very big mix. But the only issue I had with the titles was that because Gaelic I have very pidgin Gaelic from when I was a young child, I actually announced myself as king once because I left off the pretty or the fair at the front of it. And he just kind of looked at me. I was just like, that's okay. Sorry.
Good.
So,
Awesome.
so when I heard that in your court, I was very excited. I thought, yay!
That must have been a you thing, because I don't remember telling.
No, that was me. I
Yeah.
just like I saw that was I was calling. It's like actually there was the last king of the Islands was a Crusader persona, and I was like kind of playing with that a little bit, and then he had his was German, and I was like, that's super cool. So I was like, I want to do that.
Very cool.
Lovely. So, how are you keeping your kingdom sane during your reign?
How can I keep them sane when I can't keep myself sane?
It probably helps that we're all a little crazy here. A lot of our groups, our baronies, are doing Zoom meetings once a week. Since we've been able to do archery and thrown weapons, people have been doing that now. People have been doing social distance gatherings in small groups. And just trying to keep in touch. The whole card thing, that kind of came out of that. I was like, trying to keep everybody in touch and make sure that they're doing okay, and keep everybody in everybody's mind. We can't be together physically, but we can be together in other ways.
Yeah. So yeah, we do the courts. Did you get to see a toy run video when you watched the court?
No, I didn't. I was going to ask you about the toy run. That seems to be something that a lot of kingdoms are doing. And I kind of went, what is this? Because we only do toy runs coming up to Christmas so that the underprivileged get free gifts, basically, or free toys for people who can't afford it. But it was just like, this is happening in the middle of the year. Can somebody explain it to me? So it's going to bring it up.
Yeah, it's not a toy drive where you're providing toys for others. And I know some kingdoms do that as well. Yeah. But it's a tradition, and I believe it came from the East that we picked it up from. Beg, borrow, steal, all the good stuff. So so what it is that during court we have the kids come up. There's certain rules they have to stand on the bottoms and such, and then there's one person that has a very soft chest of toys, and then the kids run after them, and then they catch them, and they can each have a toy. Well, we can't do that now.
One toy each.
One toy each, right? So we've asked people to send in, and if you're watching, you can keep doing that because we need to send some more. Send in requests for toys, and then we send them out to people. And if they want to show pictures or videos, they can do that. And so we've had a couple of videos, and some of them have been like the best, like the most awesome thing to see. So if you want, I'm sure we can get those links to you, and so you can see them because they're not very long, but they're pretty epic.
That would be perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and we can put them up onto our Facebook page so that everyone can see them. Yeah, that would be amazing.
No, they're really cool.
I think we're going to do a compilation video of the toy runs we've done so far, and then get some added pictures. We have a lady in our kingdom who likes to do videos, and so she's been doing all the editing and composing of those. Shout out to Bruna. She's doing an awesome job.
So I noticed in your courts that every award that you give out, there is usually a scroll or a carving or some specific thing that's already there before you give out the award. Is that pre-planned in your kingdom, that you kind of get in contact with your like illuminators and calligraphers and go, we're about to give out, these awards. Could you please get them in time for court? Because it just seems that you're on the ball.
So we have a kingdom signet who is in charge of organizing all our scribes, and we prepare our court list about a month in advance of when we do our courts. And so we make up who we're going to give awards to, and we check in with our signet and say, these are all ready to go. And he assigns all. We don't necessarily know who's going to make them. And so he does all the assignments, and usually people will volunteer, like, oh, I know that person, I want to make their scroll, this and that. And so And when we are getting ready for court, usually the week of, they take pictures of them, and we have a shared drive, and they get loaded into there. And our video wizard, Sir Ajax, who does all the technical bits for our court, he gathers them up, and then he arranges them so that they go into court. We write out a script for our courts, so we know how the order, who's going to be giving out awards, who's doing it, kind of a general idea what we're going to say to the person, but we kind of riff on that. We have a silent herald, so that helps her out, so she knows kind of what we're going to say, and then the image of the scroll gets put in when we're talking to the person. And then once we're done with court, then our signet will mail those out to people so they can get it. Normally, we would hand it out to them during court, and then they could take it away. And also we've had a few times where the signet will mail us the scrolls so we can sign them, and then we mail them out to people too. So it's kind of a complicated system. We were like, what are we going to do now that this pandemic is here and we're going to do online courts? But we figured it out, and so it's run pretty well.
It's amazing. Well done.
Yeah, definitely not that organized here.
Well, yeah.
I'd like to be.
Yeah, it's a team definitely effort, and just amazing people have stepped up and are putting time and effort to make that happen. And it's amazing every time we do a court to me, just like we pulled that off. It's great.
Yeah, we kind of felt that it was important to keep our scribes busy during this time, even though we're not, doing events per se, but, we can still give out awards, and they can still make them and take as much time that they need to do that. So we have an awesome staff, and they were excellent in giving us, helping us figure this all out. We wouldn't be anywhere near as far along as we are without our staff.
Yeah, we were first starting, we'll do some kind of Zoom, and that, Magnus, you're doing awesome. Not to disparage Zoom, we're like, we'll just do some Zoom thing. That'll be fine. And then they're like, they just went with it. They're like, we can do this thing, and then it didn't work. They're like, oh well, but we can still do it over here. And there was a lot of time and effort, especially at the beginning, just figuring it out. And then I was like, let's start with a little bit of awards. Let's add some more. Okay, now let's add the barons for our big dub court. And every time Sir Ajax is like, oh, no more, please.
Yeah, it was pretty epic.
Amazing.
What would you say is your proudest moment in the SCA?
Let me go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
So mine is kind of easy for me because it was just an epic, colossal get together, amazingness. It was like the SCA, like all personified. Anyway, so first started out, Backwater, Shire, and the group that I was in, either college students, or not a ton of people had a lot of money back then. And we're pretty close to Outlands, and Outlands came up, and their king is like, hey, we want you to go to Pennsic and fight with us. And we're like, yeah, let's do that. But none of us have ever gone, right? Not a lot of, so we just it just became this Shire thing where we're like, we're going to get whoever wants to go, we're going to get them authorized so we just have everybody can fight. We're going to do fundraisers. We're going to do, drives, this and that. And so we had yard sales, and we did this work for Thora and her yard, and we did different things. I think there was a car wash. I didn't make it to that one. And there's just all this. So we built up this money, did a budget. We're like, you're going to be cooking on this, and you're going to cook it on this night. And we had to figure out we're camping. So we're all in this, we just all had one pavilion, and we just was barrack style. Everybody had a cot, and we all just drove out there, carpool together. It's from where we're at, that's a 23-hour drive. And we just drove straight through, gifts. And it was this, we get there, and it's Pennsic, so you got rain and everything, and we're just loving it, right? Just great stories. This guy did that, and this guy did that. And it was easily my proudest moment in the SCA. It's just this you know, and you know, part of me was like, oh man, let's replicate that. But it's kind of like a magical moment where everything just comes together. So I would love to see that again. So let's, if we could, everybody. But I mean, just, it was amazing.
I don't know if I can top that. My proudest moment, I'd have to say my first reign. I was really proud of the whole thing. I was fairly green to, you know, royalty. I'd been around for about 10 years at that point, but, you know, I'd never been involved in any reigns, had not really retained for anybody, but starting out really unknown to the kingdom at that point. Nobody really knew who I was except from, you know, unless you were from the South Dakota side of the kingdom. And I just, you know, grew and learned a ton and met so many wonderful people in our kingdom. And everybody was so excited about our reign and how much fun and how much they enjoyed it. It was really something to be proud of.
Awesome.
I remember that, right?
That was a lot of that, you know, was attributed to Hagen, who was more experienced than I was, and he kind of showed me the ropes of what needed to be done. And I wouldn't be the person I am today without Count Hagen.
Lovely.
Did you know where Lockhart was before we started this interview or asked you to join us?
Of
Oh
course.
yeah, totally.
I mean, you got to know where everything is, right? But so yeah, totally knew where.
I don't know if our kingdom is as proficient sometimes at knowing where all of the other kingdoms are, which is why we kind of agreed, thank you, Magnus, to do this so that we kind of gave everybody a better geography of the kingdoms across the known world. Yeah, so it's always interesting when people kind of go, oh, you're from that kingdom. So had you ever met any of our populace before?
Yeah, there was.
You said you had.
Yeah, I've never met anybody who's been in the SCA, but I've met people from a lot. I know quite a number from New Zealand and a couple from Australia, from online gaming.
That's another very cool community.
Yep.
So had you heard any of the weird animals or foodstuffs that we have here?
I was highly amused by His Majesty Anstiora's comments about all the weird, crazy monsters that live in your country. That really amused me. You should tell the story that you told me the other day, Ciaran.
Yeah, so I was actually happened to talk to a friend who's from Australia. And I said, what's the strangest thing? Because this question, I was you know, I'm going to ask you a strange question. What is the strangest thing about Australia? And she told me about hoop snake.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys familiar with the hoop snake that chases people, grabs its tail and pulls down hills?
Yep.
And then she told me that's fake.
Yes. So we will send you a picture of a giant snake pulling a dead kangaroo, which is the size of a human, out of a lake to eat it if you want.
She also told me about drop bears. Are you guys familiar with those?
Yes.
Okay. I'll leave that for everybody else. You're going to have to Google that. Drop bears.
Yep.
Is that something you want to Google?
I don't know.
Well, there's different trains of thought on what a drop bear is. Because, like I was saying to His Majesty Anstiora yesterday, you know, koalas are stoned for 20 hours a day. So you never know where they're going to come from.
No.
So we were going to visit your kingdom. What mundanely would you encourage us to visit? Like what landscapes or what, you know, areas and like what
Well, are you familiar? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Are you familiar with Mount Rushmore?
Yes.
Okay, that's in our kingdom, and that's actually the area that I originally started from. And you got the Black Hills, which are very beautiful and have lots of natural beauty in them. So there's that. You got the big lakes, lots of different lakes and stuff to see. What else would there be able to see?
I was trying to think from each state because, you know, we're such a vast
Right.
area. Minnesota has tons of lakes to see.
There's
I
the
did
Badlands.
I
The
did, I did
Badlands.
do a, oh wow.
Oh, go ahead.
The Badlands?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Badlands, they're like eroded areas.
Yeah.
You can see strata of different things. So because of the erosion, you can see there's lots of dinosaurs. In fact, you can find fossils pretty good.
Wow.
So that's a really beautiful place, but very stark. It's really cool. And then there's Badlands in North Dakota as well.
Yep.
There's the International Peace Gardens between North Dakota and Canada. They're very pretty. So I mean, if you're in that area, check that out. And also there's like mountains and lakes there called the Turtle Mountains. They're very nice. Northern part of Minnesota and Manitoba, shout out to my Canadian friends, has boundary waters. There are like a ton of lakes, and you can canoe and portage between each of them. That's really beautiful. It's got timber wolves and lots of other awesome, things, and mosquitoes the size of bombers, but it's really awesome. And then, like, the UP, it's got, beautiful lakes, and it's like got tons of snow. And it depends on you guys get a lot of snow down there.
Where I live?
Certain area.
Yeah. Because we have a central area called the Snowy Mountains.
Oh, yeah.
I saw the movie.
And in Tasmania, they get quite a bit of snow, but generally no.
Okay.
So do you have events wherein it snows? Like where it snows?
No,
I've seen that.
What's that?
Well, doesn't the UP, don't they have an event when it's snowing?
Oh, we have events when it snows all the time.
Well, when it snows, but like actually out in the snow.
We've had events where it's outdoor camping. Yeah. I can't recall exactly. It's been a long time, but I know people have done that. I am not up for that. I would prefer to stay in a cabin where, it's warm. But yeah, people have, done outdoor camping when there's like a foot of snow on the ground, which I think is crazy, but we're Northshielders, so.
Hardy bunch of people.
Yeah.
So there's a term that's called Minnesota nice, but it's kind of true for everybody in Northshield. They're really super, super nice and friendly. And I think part of that is just because you're cooped up all winter, you get out and like, oh, there's people, let's enjoy each other.
I think that's how we're able to survive the pandemic, because we're used to being cooped indoors.
Yeah. We have something similar where I'm from in Australia, where you can tell that we're getting near the end of winter because people start carrying dark clouds with them because we're so used to the sun that when we get lack of vitamin D, we start getting very gloomy.
So what would be one of the strangest things that you've heard about either Australia or New Zealand?
Besides the hoop snake?
Besides the hoop snake and the drop bears.
Weirdest thing?
Yeah.
You got crazy fires there.
Yes, we do.
All the giant spiders.
Yes, we have them too.
Well, in Australia we do. So New Zealand is very different. They don't have things that will bite you.
Right.
So
yeah, but don't they have those big giant weta bugs?
Yeah, they don't bite.
Okay.
They've got hedgehogs.
Yes.
and sheep.
And sheep
Yes.
and hobbits and all kinds of things.
Yeah. So do you have a favorite SEA story that you like to tell, apart from the amazing story about flying by the seat of your pants and getting to Pensick, because that's just amazing? But do you have a story that you kind of like to tell when you've had a couple of cups under your belt?
Want to get my cups? Yeah, there's lots of stories I like to tell, but one of my favorite stories has to do with with Master Fisker is his name. He was our first kingdom seneschal, and he's currently battling cancer. So fight on, Master Fisker. And one of the people that really opened my eyes to what SEA could be. So really, really appreciate him. But anyway, so I had taken up rapier, and I was starting to feel like pretty decent, whatever. And I went to this event, and it's Ides and March is an event, but what they do there is they take dice and they roll it, and it decides what your weapon style is going to be. So and he's better than me, but I draw a dagger, and he's got some kind of long weapon that, whatever. So if it had been the opposite, maybe I'd had a chance, but whatever. So I'm walking up there, and I go up there, and I promptly die, right? But later on, a gentleman comes up to me and tells me the story. He says his son, his name's Damien, was like asking, who's this, who's that? And then he points to me as I'm walking up there to fight Master Fisker, and goes, who's that? And his dad goes, that's a dead man. and then his kid's like later on going, where's the dead man, Daddy? Where's the dead man?
Oh, that's good. Let's see. So my local group, we live right on the border of Northshield and Callantyre. Actually, Callantyre is like 7 miles from my house.
That's why we took it over.
Just a small bit. They can have the rest. I don't want it all. So we would go in mass for about 8 to 10 years. We went to Lily's War in mass. We had a giant camp, and we'd go and we'd have a good time, and we'd have communal areas to relax and eat, and it was a lot of fun. And one year we went, and everybody was kind of grumpy that year. I don't know why. We got to Lily's, and I don't know if either of you have been to Lily's. It's in near Kansas City, Missouri, and it's really hot and humid there. And we got there, and we had a big moving van with all our stuff, and we unloaded everything, set up everybody's tents, and everybody was super grumpy and tired. And we were just sitting down to kind of relax. And over the trees come these black, dark clouds, and we're all like, oh no. And, black clouds mean a thunderstorm is coming through. And so we kind of scrambled to kind of batten down things. And, we had families, and we had some small kids there camping with us. And so we threw them all in one tent, and with their mom and some other people to kind of hold up the tent. And I got stuck. I hadn't even changed clothes. I was still in mundanes. And the storm rolled through, and we ended up hanging on to, we had it's like a carport. It has metal poles and, the plastic. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you use those in Australia, but, and so we had that. And so we ended up holding on to the kitchen tent for quite a while. And we had some members of our group that was their first big event. And so this is like, welcome to Lily's. And so we're standing there, and one side of me is just like drenched, and the other side is completely dry. And my friend Erin, and we're standing in the storm, and it's going, and she's like, welcome to Lily's. And so finally we dropped the tent. We're finally able to drop the tent, because I'm like, come on, Hagen, let's drop this stupid tent. Jeez. And so we dropped the tent, and everybody scrambles, and I go into the tent where the kids are. And our friend there, who had I think she had 3 kids at that time. She had a small baby, And she decided she was going to leave site and go get a hotel, I think. And so it was me and my friend Kate, and we were left in this tent. And I had forgotten that before the storm, one of the people that were camping with us had gone into town to get food. And then all of a sudden she shows up with food, and I'm just like, okay, totally forgot that. And so Kate hadn't ordered anything, and we split the hamburger, and it was like the best hamburger we had ever eaten in our life.
Yeah, food's the best food.
And yeah, and after you're standing in the rain and holding up tents for at least an hour, I'm sure, and everything was wet, but it was still the best time. We have a lot of stories like that from Elis, but one of them.
Yeah.
Sounds
Oh, that's
amazing.
I'm sure many people have those stories when they go camping and there's storms.
Yeah. Yeah.
So unfortunately, Your Majesties, we've actually reached our hour. It went very quickly. You are amazing people, and if you are an example of the populace of Northshield, then we are definitely going to try and have to come out and meet you.
Absolutely.
That'd be lovely. Let us know.
Always welcome.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. This has
Thank you
been fun.
guys for doing this.
You're very welcome.
It's a blessing in this time, so we really appreciate that.
Bye.